Okay, well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome, and thank you so much for joining me on this special edition. Uh, I had to create this special show tonight because, of course, history is in the making. History in the making, whereby we have now a new prime minister. I keep saying that we have been talking about this for a while about this new prime minister thing. We got this revolving door which is fitted at number 10, but we believe that the door maybe has changed now. And the door now is sealed back with the number 10 there. So we hope that is going to be the case. We've got a new prime minister, which is Rishi Sunak. And well, I wouldn't say we got a new prime minister. Well, we got a new Conservative Party leader. And as a result of that, he's going to be going to the King tomorrow. King Charles will, formally invite him to be the prime minister. That is what is going to happen. So tonight, what I'm going to do is just having some reactions from different persons and just go straight into it. And I'll just bring in, sorry, bring in Gary Graham. But until he comes in, I want to say that if persons want to actually, share their views, there are different ways you can do that. I'm going to put a link up, which is actually on YouTube and Facebook. Instagram, you're just getting one side of it to a certain extent, whereby you will not be able to see the guest or see the write up, which is happening here. However, you can actually come in on the show by going onto YouTube, which is Silburn TV at YouTube, and you can see a link which is set there. So that YouTube at Silburn TV, Facebook also at Silburn TV. It's also on my personal page as well. Well, ladies and gentlemen, there's been this breakthrough in the sense whereby for a while now, the UK has been going around having different prime ministers. You had Boris Johnson, then you had Liz Truss, and now you have Rishi Sunak. Many persons are actually saying there should be a general election, not another coronation, not another internal rambling between the Conservative Party where they keep imposing prime minister. It is high time now for. However, that's not going to happen. And why it's not going to happen? Because the Conservative Party have a mandate from their last election. And the mandate from the last election has given them the authority to have no election until 2024. Many people will say that Rishi Sunak do not have a mandate. It was Boris Johnson who have a mandate. But there's always the reminder that actually, in real fact, we do not have a presidential system. A presidential system is where you vote for an individual, like how you vote for President Obama or President Biden, or Trump, or either way. We do not have that in the UK. What we have is a parliamentary system where people vote for their members of parliament, and those members of parliament will normally elect a leader from within their ranks. And the leader from within their ranks would be the party leader. And as a result of that, that party leader ultimately become the prime minister if they are in power. And if they're not in power, that party leader become the king's, you can't say the queen anymore, the king's loyal opposition. And so therefore that is how it works in the UK. Now, if it is a situation whereby the the president, or Rishi Sunak or Liz Truss, deviate totally away from the manifesto from the last election, then they're in a different territory, and that territory warrants that they actually may need to have a general election. But let me just bring in Gary here. Hi, Gary. How are you? Thank you for joining on this special edition, which we normally do on Thursday, but we just had to bring it forward because history has been made.
Yeah, it
Mm,
well, let me say thanks for inviting me on again.
yes.
And yeah, it's history has been made. I was listening to someone or to the commentators on Radio 4 earlier on this afternoon, and
Yes.
they said that Britain has its Obama moment.
Okay.
You
Yes.
know, and yes, it is an Obama moment. And
Eh,
I just wish him all the best, really.
mm.
Even
Eh,
though, yeah, go ahead, go ahead.
No, no, go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead. You wish him all the best. Yes, you're saying.
I mean, even though in the past couple of weeks leading up to this point, I did say that um, it's not something that I don't think Britain
He's ready
would
for.
is ready for. Even though a lot has been said on the news, if we're very clear about it, that the parliamentary party chose Rishi, and but if he went to the country, it would be a different thing, and I think we need to understand that.
You,
I
you
think we,
you think you think so? Yeah.
I do believe it would be a different thing because
Yeah.
as it stands right now, Rishi has not received the what's the term,
The endorsement
the endorsement of
or
the country. You see, it was really when the parliamentary um, MPs or those of the party said that Boris received that from the country. Yes, he did.
mm,
The country chose Boris. It wasn't the party that chose Boris to be the PM. It
mm.
was the country that chose Boris to be the prime minister, wasn't it?
No, I'm going to disagree with you.
Okay, go ahead.
the the um the the MPs or the party chose Boris to be the leader. Can you hear me clearly? I'm seeing like some connection issues. You can hear me clearly. The the country, the MPs within the parliamentary caucus of the Conservative Party and the members chose Boris to be the leader. And by him being the leader, if the party wins the election, then he becomes a prime minister. If the party is in opposition, then he would be the king's loyal opposition. Because we do not have a presidential system, and that is something which I set out earlier, and anybody can come and actually correct me if anything. We do not have a presidential system whereby people are voting Boris directly or Rishi directly. The only persons that vote for Boris or Rishi directly are the people within their constituents, right? Otherwise than that, people vote for their members of parliament. Now, the manifesto, what the government or what the country is operating on with the Conservative Party was from the last election. If the Conservative Party deviate from that with their leading of the government or running the country, then you're going into another territory for a general election because that was a mandate. The word is the mandate which they had. That's how I understand it to be because we do not have a presidential system in the UK. We have a democratic parliamentary system. So therefore, they can change leaders as they want. You know, even though I must say though that people do vote for leaders through their members of parliament. That is why sometimes people lose seats when actually there have been great MPs because people do not like the leader at the top. So I just have to say that by default to qualify myself. You know, you can challenge me on that point, Gary.
No, well, I mean, you may be right. You may be right on that.
And I may be wrong.
And you could be wrong too. But what
Yes.
I'm saying is that I think that Boris had more of a mandate to be prime minister more than Rishi.
And that was because he went into the election with as a leader. So yes, I can understand that particular point
Yes,
there.
and that's what
Yeah.
I want. That's what I'm saying here.
Mm,
Uh,
mm.
Boris went into the election and won the election. He
Yes.
won it. So he received a mandate from the country. In this instance, Rishi has not got that mandate that Boris had.
Mm, mm.
So if Rishi made the mistake of going to the country now to get what Boris received, Rishi wouldn't get that.
Which
And
will be out.
would. I think the Conservative Party would be out. Not so much Rishi, and that is why again Rishi has the poison chalice because
Yes.
I don't think that is Rishi that they're getting at. The country is against what the Conservative Party has done or is doing because they seem to be in disarray. That is
Yes.
why. That is why he's been advised not to go to the country. Don't even think about it.
Yes. Yes. If I was a political strategist and I'm advising as well, I would say you when you see the polls like this, it's the wrong time to go to the country. Try to stabilize things. And while
Yeah,
you're stabilizing things, you see what can happen because, as we know in politics, things can happen in a day and change the whole dynamics of as we have seen it. But let's go back to Rishi as to the moment now. And ladies and gentlemen, the moment now is that we've got the first time in history a British Asian man who is now going to be the prime minister tomorrow when he's going to be appointed. But before we go there, let's do a little background, and the background is this, and I play this little clip here.
Officer in the leadership election, I can confirm that we have received one valid nomination. And Rishi Sunak is therefore elected as leader of the Conservative Party.
Okay, so that's Sir Graham Brady there. He seems to be more popular than everybody, isn't it, Gary? He seems to be the one which is in the spotlight each time, isn't it?
well, I mean that's why I don't know why they don't go for it, even if it's one time, even if he doesn't get it. Why the because look, it's five of them that stood up there, and
Yes,
and and all five plus is it Graham Brady
Graham Brady. Yes,
plus Mr. Brady. They're all powerful men. They are part of the powerful committee.
yes,
I'm not saying everybody is not born a leader. You know, everybody and leaders are also made. And you can't tell me that not one of them on that committee can't say, "Well, I'm going to step forward and and put my hat in the ring." Also,
in the
I,
ring.
yeah, I think that something is amiss there because it's more or less showing to me that something untoward.
Yeah, Gary, I must say, from your side, there's a very distorted sound which keep coming through, like a shh sound. I'm sure it's not Rishi. I mean, years ago, when we were doing the COVID period, we tried not to say anything against Rishi or they shut us down. It was a joke, ladies and gentlemen. Richie wouldn't do that, but they used to watch the show during the COVID period when we were being very straight up. But but this moment now, let's not take away. Let's look at this moment now. Um, as Doreen Hunt says, the first time in history a man of color in the United Kingdom. A moment to celebrate.
Yes, I think we should. I think it will be proper. I mean, an Asian stepping up to be prime minister. Obviously, again, we've had a black man to be the
Yeah,
chancellor, and a
yeah,
black man to
yeah,
be who is now foreign secretary.
yeah, yeah. And Gary, I'm gonna ask you. I don't know if gonna ask you if you can reset your system and come back. There's a as you speak each time. There's a sound like you're trying to show that you're powerful. There's a powerful sound like you're Shazam or like Superman, like with a sound effect that goes boom. You know. Just say something and I'll hear if it's still there. Say something and then I'll say yeah.
I think what you're hearing probably is
There, yeah, there it is. Yeah.
yeah,
What?
there's, there's a
Yeah,
lot of
there's this.
going on.
Yeah, yeah. I'm gonna yeah try and come back again, Gary. There's a every time you speak, there's this powerful. I know you're a powerful man, but it's too powerful today. So ladies and gentlemen, okay, it is a powerful time. As Gary was alluding to with his sound. Rishi Sunak, born 12th of May 1980, British politician, was served as leader of the Conservative Party since 24th of October 2022. He previously served as the Chancellor of the Exchequer from 2020 to 2022 and Chief Secretary to the Treasury from 2019 to 2020. He has been a Member of Parliament, MP for Richmond, York since 2015. And if we do a quick calculation here, I'll just do a quick calculation just to make sure I don't get it wrong. He's 42 years of age, one of the youngest prime minister to be, but I believe there's one maybe younger than him. Sunak was born in Southampton to parents of Punjabi Indian descent who migrated to Britain from East Africa in the 1960s. He was educated at Winchester College, read philosophy, politics, and economics at Lincoln College, Oxford, and gained an MBA from Stafford University in California as a Fulbright scholar. While studying at Stanford, he met his future wife, Ashaka, Ashata Murthy, the daughter of Narayana Murthy, the Indian billionaire businessman who founded Infosys. Sungata Murthy are the 222nd richest people in Britain with a combined fortune of 730 million pounds. 730 million pounds as at 2022. After graduating, Sunak worked for Goldman Sachs and later as a partner at the hedge fund firm, the Children Investment Fund Management and Thelma Partners. Um, Many people are actually saying Mr. Sunak cannot somehow relate to you know to people or to the UK. And I always question that each time when people say they can't relate, because just because they are wealthy does that mean they can't relate? Does that mean to say they've got to you know throw away the money and live on the road for a period of time? But anyway, reactions. That's what I want. Reactions. Um, Definitely a moment to celebrate. However, it's not being given the same momentum because he hasn't been elected by the people. Okay, so there it is. Definitely a moment to celebrate. However, it's not being given the same momentum because he hasn't been elected by the people. Right. Interesting when it says elected by the people. I'm going to come back to that point. Elected by the people. Let me bring back Gary. Gary, how you are? Have you got the power still? You got the power still?
Yeah, man, the power's still here. You don't hear it.
Yeah, the power is still here. Okay, we have to work with the power. We work with the power. Um, Rishi is the youngest prime minister in UK history at age 42. But somebody said something I was listening that maybe how old was the other youngest prime minister? Somebody check that out because they said maybe somebody else was younger than him. Um, the Shelley and Brown said in on on the write up there, Gary said just the point what you said. Definitely a moment to celebrate. However, it's not being given the same momentum because he hasn't been elected by the people. Is that what you're saying as well, Gary?
Yes, yes, that's what I'm saying. He has
Mm,
not been elected by the people. And that is why, and you see, the Labour Party knows that. That's why the Labour Party is gunning for an election. Because if the Conservative Party went for an election right now, I'm sure they would lose.
mm, yeah. Let me. I'll have to mute you each time. You stay there. You don't breathe with your power because you got the power there. The power is coming through. Um, someone said the Conservative Party need to stop the backbiting and get behind the Prime Minister. There we are. Those are sound words. Barack Obama was elected. Nelson Mandela was elected. Rishi not elected by the people. Can I just clarify again? And I'm going to put this point out again. And people can always take me to task. Um, Obama was elected by the Americans because his name was on the ballot box. It was sorry, his name was on the ballot because it was a presidential system, or America is a presidential system. Mandela also was a presidential system where people are able to vote for the person directly. In the UK, and I keep emphasizing this point, in the UK, we do not have a presidential system. We have a parliamentary system. So only persons who live in the constituents of Boris Johnson or Rishi Sunak can actually vote for them. Everybody else vote for their members of parliament, right? They're members of parliament. Because remember, in America, you got the Congress, you got the Senate, you got the Congress people or so, and they run the two sides of the house. But you got the president right there in the middle. That is why them always say the president is a lame duck because he has to be. If you got a Democratic president and the two houses are Republican, that president is a lame duck. In the UK, what we have is a parliamentary system whereby people vote for their MPs, and the party with the majority of MPs, they are the ones which becomes the government. And then the leader of that party is the one who will go to the king, which is the king now, and say, hey, we have got the mandate and you have got the command of the majority of parliamentarians, hence you can form the government. So uh, the only way I can look at it is this: if the leader goes into an election like Boris or Rishi, people will say, okay, Rishi is the leader, but people are not voting for Rishi; they're voting for their MPs. I'm being factual there, but I know the semantics at the same time is that, well, is Rishi I want, is Boris I want. So you're gonna vote for your MPs and even vote out good MPs just because you want Boris or you want Rishi, or you vote out MPs because you don't want Boris or want Rishi, you want Keir Starmer. I mean, Shelly, and what do you say like that? Earth will trade. Don't work like that. What don't work like that? Tim, what doesn't work like that? Tim, what don't work like that? So somebody tell me if you're challenging my position there on on Instagram. Gary. Anyway, let's move away from that point. A moment like this now, the reality is still anyhow. The UK has got an Asian prime minister, right? And the Asians, would we say that the Asians support their people?
They do. But listen
Mm,
to this. I
yeah.
mean, not too long ago, I wouldn't even say it's a month back, the Hindus and the Muslims were fighting in Leicester.
Yes.
Yeah. And even in Birmingham they were wondering if there was going to be any infighting between the Hindus as well as the Muslims. I mean, look at what's happening in India
Yeah.
between the Hindus. I believe that Modi, the present prime minister of India, is a Hindu, as well as
Yes.
the Muslims. So they may they may support each other, but not for very long.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes. I see that there. But the point I'm trying to say is at the same time that you have Kwasi Teng was there recently as the chancellor. I don't believe that Kwasi Teng had received that much support from the black community, right? And for whatever reasons, people might say for whatever reasons. But in comparison, what you're having is maybe Rishi Sunak or the Asians support their people more.
I think across the board, we
Mm,
always see, if we're honest with ourselves, we always see the Asians support themselves far more outwardly than the blacks, and that includes West Indians, East Indians,
mm.
the Africans, and such. Which is sad. Now,
No, Gary, I want to stop you there. What sort of system are you using? What system are you using? Is there something you can plug out or put a headphone on or something like that? It's
no,
I'm just
I do have headphones, but I haven't got them with me.
okay. Or did you turn off your system and turn it on back? Because we never had that last time we're
No,
talking.
it's the Diwali.
Is it Diwali?
It's Diwali up here.
That
So
no, that's not what making the noise.
yeah, yeah, it's the fireworks.
Oh, it's fireworks going on now.
Yeah.
Oh, shame. I thought it was something in your system there. Oh, right. Okay, well, let's celebrate Diwali then. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, the sound which is going on there is celebration of the first Asian man, because they said they're making a double celebration as well. Okay, well, fair enough. I'm glad. I thought it was
No,
your system there. Yeah.
no,
Uh-huh.
it's nothing to do with my system. No.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean the Asians have more to celebrate now than ever before. Really, So it's yeah, but the support, and you're right. I think that the 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 blacks. Now you look at all the black politicians
Yeah.
in the Labour Party, as well as the few that has entered the Conservative Party.
Yeah.
Look at all all of them. Now, have we really celebrated them? Have we really supported them? Or turn it the other way around?
Yeah.
Have they supported us? Have they really stood by us?
Mm,
Now,
mm,
obviously, yes, you can always give and take. You can always, say yes, and you can always say no. So I just
mm,
want us to have a balanced view, Silborn. I just want us to have a balanced view.
mm.
Have
Well,
we celebrated them?
yes.
And in
Yes.
turn, have they really celebrated us?
Yes. Well, definitely that's something we're gonna pick up at the end, because I've got some points in regards to you know, us even getting involved in politics or so. Simon Day brought a point here now. Hello, when is the king going to summon his parliament to call a general election? Well, the king doesn't do that. The king is just there as a ceremonial figure. King Charles would never dare go into that and call a general election of his own volition, if anything like that. People are saying that the king should have done that. The king can only summon a general election upon the if it's 2024 when they dissolve parliament for there to be an election and they go through that period of campaigning. If there's a vote of no confidence or so, and then there's no confidence in the government, or they want to bring the date up further from the parliamentary the fixed parliamentary act or change it, like how we got Brexit, then that's a different kettle of fish. So, so the question to Simon Day is, why do you want a general election? Let me ask people, why do you want a general election? Gary, why do you want a general election? Why we want to why don't we want a level of stability at the time? Let's see if we can just steady the ship. Everybody is just wanting power, 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 power. Let me just bring in Keisha here. I don't see an image there. Keisha, can you hear me? Hello.
Hello?
Hi. Okay, okay, we can hear you.
Hello. Yeah, I've been trying to get you on my computer, but it's gonna have to work for now using my phone.
You got
Sorry.
to go through. You got to go through Rishi for that. You know that. You know we used to do that from years ago. You
Absolutely, yeah.
have to go through Rishi. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. It's great to be back on your show. So it's been a while.
Yes,
Hello,
yes, yes,
Dwayne.
yes. Yes, Simon, you can call in. I can send you the link. Well, Keisha, what's your reaction? There's a lot of questions asking, but what's your reaction to the is the British Asian Prime Minister a valid elected person, or is a superficial thing, even though he's there in that position? And I'm not saying superficial in the sense of the superficial term, which has been used by someone already.
I know what you mean, Silver.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah.
I think he's earned his place there, and I know that there's an issue around whether the Democrat there's a possible argument for there's democratic deficit at the moment that we're dealing with, and I can
Mm,
understand clearly there was an election and the members of the Conservative Party did not vote for him. But if
yeah.
you look at his credentials, you look at his background, I personally feel that he is the suitable or the right fit for that particular role at this time. And I
Mhm.
think he's proven himself, specifically when we had the lockdown and during the COVID crisis, and he implemented the FOLA scheme. I am glad that he is the one who's actually at the helm right now, given the economic climate that we're in. We need a steady hand, and I believe that he is the right person for the job. So, irrespective of how he got there, I think his position was a slightly delayed because in terms of the competition, and I should just let you know that I am not a member of the Conservative Party, so I'm
Oh
speaking from
wow.
an outside. I'm speaking as an outsider, but in my opinion, I think in terms of the competition between him and Liz Truss, I think he should have won in the first place. So I just think his position
Sorry. Can I clarify? Did you say you're a member of the Conservative Party?
I'm not with the
You're
emphasis.
not a member of the Conservative Party. Okay.
I am not a member of the Conservative Party, neither am I a member of any party for that matter. But I'd
You're a
like
member
to
of the
believe
Jesus Party.
definitely. At least we know we're secure in Jesus' name. But at least, but no, but in terms of politics, definitely I feel that everybody at this time have an interest as to what's happening within the country and within the environment that they live. And questioning whether Richie is the right fit or the right candidate at this time, I think he is the right ideal person to be our prime minister because we really do need somebody who have not only the ability to be a good leader. I think he's a good leader, but he actually proven himself that he can actually steer us in the right direction as it relates to the economy.
Because we went through the period of COVID. You guys were on the show for a long time, and Rishi was always there. It was one of those we can all relate to Rishi and Boris during that period of COVID, isn't it? They were like with us, isn't it? Right through the period.
Absolutely. And we were monitoring them, how they
Yes.
was progressing. And I think it's so good. It's almost like it's full circle seeing the change from, I think, I guess it's the changing of the guards again, where you've seen the change from Boris and now, again, Rishi as now the prime minister. So yes, it's been a journey for us as well, Silburn, on
Yes.
your show.
Okay. Um. Earthwell Trade on Instagram. You need candlelight words are not valid. You need to explain. Virgin, you need to come on and explain them things. You're dropping words on me. Simon, there, how are you? This is not talking sipping, but you're
I'm
drinking
fine,
something.
thank you very much.
How you
Hello
doing?
all. Hi all.
Yeah.
And just to thank you very much for inviting me on the show. I
No,
was just
you invited yourself. I only gave you permission.
no, thanks. Well, I have to give myself that introduction.
We all invite ourselves. There we go.
I'm so exact. Enough. No, on a serious note, the reason why I said the general election is nothing to do with how, Sunak, nothing to do with him. Is that we as the British electorate have been denied the opportunity to vote. We're having a lot of unelected people running this country, and it has been put to the British people. And when I said the king to court, I know the king was only a ceremonious figurehead, but everything's done in his name. But postpone the coronation and let's have a general election. This is ridiculous. How is it that this 1922, all these committees are making these decisions for having the prime minister, which is meant to be a democratic elected body or personality, and it's not been denied. And I think
Yeah.
Can you permit me to respond still, or
You want to respond? I can respond to that, but I've been responding all the while. You want to respond to that bit there
yes,
about
still going, simply because I think I'm hearing that a lot today, and my position on that is simple. It would be reckless, frankly, if we were to go to a general election right now, as we speak. It would be very reckless. Any government
reckless for who? Which party?
for Rishi or the Conservative Party to be doing that. We in this economic,
That's
the
only
economic
if your party's then to conservative.
No, well, I'm certainly not a conservative, but I'm looking for from the perspective of of members of the public. My concern
country.
right now is increased or rise in mortgage rate, the interest rate, all this concern people, the increase in food banks and all of that. That's supposed to be a
But
priority.
does that give a platform of an opportunity to deny us a constitutional right to vote? They can do it for Brexit and all these other things. Why can't we do something like this now? Postpone the coronation and let's have a. They're not saying it happen today, but happen in January or February. Let's let the political heads go to the marketplace and let the British electorate make an informed decision.
At some
Postpone.
point, I agree, it has to be done, but not right now. The immediate
I understand, but
priority is
postpone a coronation and work towards May or July for this to happen.
Okay, I'm getting feedback from everywhere. Alex, what are you saying about this? He's in Jamaica now on Instagram. Can we hear you?
Hello, Alex.
Can you hear him?
Yeah.
Sensitive topic across the world right now, because I have people there in India touching base with me from my extended bloodline, right? And them talking about the new prime minister. We have gotten word from last night of the commoners and amongst the men of order that as such, this gentleman here will be appointed as such. Then Boris Johnson there, he has lost the race.
Yeah.
The fact is that he have disgraced himself and his bloodline of white Caucasian people, right? He has not done a representation. It is of the fact, based on his history of how it has been performed, right? That lady there, trust. She pick up that baton and don't realize that this is the argument that is happening here in Jamaica, uncensored. She pick up a baton right now where she don't understand that it's politics run the thing. She's just a figurehead being appointed to play a role. So when she want to change things like that, it don't work.
Yeah.
So it is the right move for the British government right now, based on the fact that with Russia happening right now, listen to my words and carefully. This is not cavalier conversation right now. Listen carefully. Russia is planning to make half of Europe right now freeze for Christmas. And Santa can't help them. All right? So listen now, the British government has played a monopoly. And the Guyanese government, and they're in Peru, Colombia, natural resources. That's what the British government is after right now. There is a lot of problem with United Kingdom right now. Scotland don't want their part of the whole thing. Ireland's where you put me. England in itself stand alone right now. Brexit, everyone left him. So Europe banned them. They don't want nothing from Europe. But England open the border now of giving people visa. It is a bait towards those nations to actually induce them to get in for them resources. Now drift into that conversation. It is of the fact now we have an Indian man like myself as a prime minister, which is good. Him just a puppet, just like Barack Obama. No problem. We understand that the House of Lords has appointed him as such. He's a good face to the country right now. But what I want him to do is to push for the agenda of the return of the diamond back to India.
Okay.
The British government has stolen from our bloodline.
So you also have
Yeah, but that I don't mean that's. We have a coronation, Rand.
Yeah. Yeah.
That can't happen before the coronation.
Yeah.
But congratulations to him still.
Yes.
It is the best move right on him out because Paris, in flop the thing, as a white man,
Yeah.
nothing happening for the white nation right now. It is very hard for them to actually appoint somebody of a black race based on the fact we're going with the royal family as well. You know, with Harry and the whole Meghan thing and the whole thing. So we have a black woman in that thing right now, and we have an Indian man in that thing now. So the white race right now is the rat race. They design, which we are beating them at.
Yeah.
And that is the scope of what is happening.
All right.
So we're in the cabinet conversation that at the top right now.
Yeah.
In India, United Kingdom, and in the Caribbean islands, especially in Jamaica right now.
All right.
Thank you, Seaberg.
Take care. See you later. Thanks, Alex. Cheers.
I wanted to ask Alex some questions.
Hold on. Simon wants to ask you a question. Go ahead, Simon.
No, I was going to ask Alex some question, but he's now gone.
No, he's there. Alex is still there.
Oh, he's still there. So, Alex, in regards to the situation about what's going on in the world, I mean, I know you said you've got family and friends in England. Do you feel that the British public should have the opportunity of voting who's a number 10, who's a prime minister? Because at the moment, all these prime ministers have been appointed, has been unelected by the British public, the British electorate, and therefore that's effectively, that's not democratic. That's not really fair. And irrespective of black, green, yellow, or pink, this person is running the country again has not been elected. And I'm proposing, and I understand savability and the capital markets, and I understand we need to have, but we need to have a date in mind. We need to say, like, in 6 months to 8 months, we'll be calling a general election.
May the 6th, 2024 is when the next election is.
Well, it should be before. It should be before that. And I totally understand. There's a coronation happening. There's a big political.
You want to answer it? You want to answer?
So go on, Alex.
Go on, Alex. Yeah.
Ready?
Yeah.
Here's a quick answer. And you can put this on the recording and you can send it to the necessary representative.
Yeah.
If the government of England, the public in itself, there's a voting ballot and there's nobody in the public that vote for anybody. There's a government known as the shadow government will still appoint somebody to carry on the baton. So the public, you do not have a stay in the government. The government is a government.
Okay.
Government. I understand that. That's my answer to you.
Okay.
So we just aligned to dictatorship. Okay, thank you.
Okay. All right, Alex. Respect.
Thank you, Alex.
Respect. I don't know to move.
With aligned dictatorship.
Yeah. Okay. What Alex is actually saying is something which I've always said. You vote out the government, and you still get the government in.
Yeah, but there's a masquerade, there's a smokes and mirrors, giving the impression that of least exercise. We've had the opportunity, despite how looking at the integrity of it, we've been afforded the opportunity to believe that we've contributed at least that person to be there, even though it's pre-designed already. Even though it's actually, controlled to some extent, but the political parties run the race.
Yeah. Can I just ask Kima? Kima, are you there? Is Kima there, Keisha? I can see her come in. Keisha?
I think she's trying to log in.
She's trying to log in.
Yes.
Gary, Simon is saying that there needs to be an election to sort of create this level of this semblance of fairness, because many people have been saying it is these 160,000 people within the Conservative Party that voted in Liz Truss the last time, and they got it wrong. Yeah, and they're gone again and voting Rishi. Well, they didn't even get to voting Rishi. He was he was anointed or appointed because Boris pulled out. I mean, guys, you know that Boris was on his way back. You know that.
Oh, and he still is. Isn't the the white horse? That's
no. There he is. There's Boris. Boris back to base. Man. It was back to base.
No, I have confidence he's going to come back in some capacity, because he works on adversity. He works in his PR. He comes into it's such a mess. Like Churchill, because Churchill was his idol.
Mm.
Fix it. We cry out for him. Not
Yeah.
me personally, but
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, I leave someone else to
Yeah.
talk.
Gary, Gary, you heard what Simon is saying about this feeling of fairness. Do you believe that the British public are feeling somewhat hoodwink?
Well, I think so. I mean, if you listen to what BBC ITV have been doing in the public out there when they meet and greet some of the constituents. That's what they're saying. They don't. Some obviously will say that they welcome Rishi. Some will say they never voted for Rishi. They
Mm.
voted for
Boris.
Boris, and because Boris has left, then they should go back to the go back as a for a general election because obviously they then say some have said they voted conservative for almost all their life, and they're not going to vote again for conservative. So obviously, they know they're going to do something, and they're going to go Labour or Liberal Democrat. Well,
Mm.
Democrat really is neither here nor there anyway. But what your call on Instagram says, and I do believe, in as much as there's a shadow government, and and
When you say shadow government, we're not talking about the opposition, are we?
no,
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 Okay.
no.
no,
Mm.
and that
Who is this shadow government? Do we know their name?
Unelected 1922 committee and then their friends and their appointees.
No,
and
but they don't do anything. All they do is just set the rules, and
No, but
and
no, but we was saying like shadow government.
To me, there is a government outside of the government,
yes.
Okay.
and I believe also we must. You see, we've got to look back in history. To me, anyway, I look back in order to know where we are and what's going to happen, because the British Empire has been in power for many years in many disguises. And a lot of the governments around the world, because the British Empire was all over the world, they have more or less styled their their laws and how they do legislate and everything on the British government.
Mm.
Now, okay, look at one area such as America. Fine, they've got the Senate and the Congress,
Mm.
but it still has a face of of the old world, which is the British Empire, British government. Even though it is different, because obviously America didn't want to be like the British, they
Mm.
fought against the British. That's fine, but still, it's a derivative of British law. So
I think why Americans speak with that drawl voices because they were trying very hard not to speak like Britain. So they say, "Hey, what's up, man?" You know, they try.
but I
But
don't know.
you're on a serious note, though, Gary. Yeah. Uh-huh.
I don't know about that. But you see, um, it's just like finance. It's just like finance. Do you think, even though they've got Wall Street, and even though they may have Tokyo and Bond, that they can do without um, the FT? They can't do anything without the
Mm.
British, without because Britain is known as the financial center of the world. It doesn't matter
I mean,
about
within
anything
and
else like
and and,
Wall
and it
Street.
is within that little square mile there, down by St. Paul's,
Yeah,
there,
I
isn't
mean,
it? Mm.
Britain is a very powerful entity. It's
You,
very
yeah.
powerful. And
Yeah.
uh,
Sorry, Gary. Keep
go ahead.
talking.
No,
I'm
go
gonna
ahead.
bring
Go
you.
ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah,
No,
you know one of the things I was saying one time, when everybody was saying, actually, I was walking in the park and the news was saying calamity, chaos, destruction. This they were saying all these negative things about the UK, and while I was walking in the park, all I could hear was birds and people singing and people happy and the dogs and barking, and I was saying, hang on a second, what am I listening to? If you listen to the news media, you'll think that the whole world is falling down. But can't we say confidently that irrespective of government, you have the Bank of England, you got these structures which are in place and they're working effectively. Isn't it, Keisha? Even though you have the changing of government, why are things somewhat still operating? It's not as if everything has fallen down.
Um, but the structures are there. The structures are, or the infrastructure in Britain. This is a developed country, it's a developed world that we're referring to here. So, are you hearing me, by the way?
Yeah, we can hear you. We can hear you.
So that's the issue. Is not the system or the structure. It is the competence of the people or the government, and
Political masters.
Sorry.
The political masters, if you want to say it like that.
Absolutely. So the interesting thing, this is not like in other countries where they don't have certain infrastructure in place, and we still have to start from the ground root and put things in place, and then get the good government and or governance in place. It's not like that. The systems here are already together. It's together. The infrastructure is already in place. It's the question is who's running it, who are the leaders in this country that actually can actually steer the country in the right direction, and that is what we are. We should be focusing on, because that's the question we have to ask ourselves: Is Richie competent to lead this country? Is the government competent to lead this country? Because we don't need and we can't afford to have an environment or culture like what was under the Boris. Barrett's legacy, for all it's worth, and I think he's achieved a lot. But at the end of the day, there's a bad taste in our mouth when we think of Barrett. When we think about the fact that it's the issue around his confidence and lack of integrity and so on. It's a massive question mark there whether we want to have him back or we want to see more of him, because we are all exhausted knowing that we actually had a government, had a leader who we actually, at one point, we were questioning whether we can actually trust him. We can't trust him, and that's the reason why we had, the fallout and all these leaders or MPs leaving and throwing in the towel, and actually, we have this the competition again with all these different leadership campaigns. So we're where we are now, and we can't afford to go back there, right? We need competent, reliable, trustworthy leaders going forward, and this is a time where we'll be looking at. We were looking to Richard to see who he will be putting in his government, because that will show the kind of person he is, or how he can be governed.
Sorry to intercept, but I'll just, this is a conversation we're having rather than a debate. But, I totally understand. Yes, we need to see what he's about. He's not elected. I'm going from a standpoint of of democracy. He's unelected. We have not seen his political manifesto. His predecessor, Liz Truss, again, someone else unelected. And it's getting to the point where we are accepting a quasi dictatorship situation coming from the back door. And we talk about other countries like Zimbabwe, and that can never be over here. We're having it right now. Because technically, yes.
Absolutely, Simon. Absolutely. You're absolutely right, Simon, because as I started off the first time when I came on the show, Silver Program, I said, there's a question around democracy, deficit. It's quite glaring in our face. None of us elected. But the point is, we are in a very critical time. We're in an economic crisis, and we can't afford. I'm not saying forget about democracy. Yes. Stop questioning democracy. I'm saying at some point, yes, that's going to be on our agenda, but unfortunately, it's not top on my agenda. I don't want to go to the polls and elect another government tomorrow. Frankly, I don't even think the Labour Party is ready anyway, but that's my humble opinion. But I don't want to be focusing on that now. I want to hear what Richie and his new government will have to tell me tomorrow morning about how he's going to steer this country in the right direction regarding
That's what Liz said as well, and look what happened. 44 days.
Yeah. Can I just come back and go back and turn the curtains and of memory lane, because a few weeks ago, Rishi was campaigning against Liz, and Rishi set out his agenda very clearly, and many people have seen where they are saying Rishi was right. Rishi hasn't changed the position that he had from that time when he was campaigning against Liz. And also, what they had to do was to tweak some of the uh, even the manifest as a result of the what's going on with the interest rates and with COVID and with the whole thing regarding Russia. I still put it to you guys that the mandate of a political party in a parliamentary system is the one that they got from the last election. If can I ask this question? God forbid that a prime minister dies halfway in his term. Are you saying there should be an election, or the party?
No, no, I agree on that. No.
So you're saying that what the party should elect within their ranks the deputy or someone to become the prime
Yes,
minister?
absolutely. And then have a deputized, like a deputized manager of kind of approach, like a corporate governance, like what you do in business. You have a deputized person to who's appointed, but there's a time period. The purpose of the British government and the British public would, I'm just talking from my viewpoint, we feel a bit more confidence that there is debt in mind. Like how we did with Brexit with David Cameron. He said by 2016 you will have a referendum. It was just trying to delay, and it happened, and we did it. So if, for example, if the general election is scheduled for 2024, I mean, personally, this is more thinking it will be good to see if he said, okay, I'm in office for 10 months, but there will be a general election or whatever. We just do some kind of like bring it back to us, because we live in a very unelected system from the whole monarchy right down to that's another topic for another day. But
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Let me bring in Kima. How are you, Kima? You're listening?
Hello, I've been listening and off. I've been trying to get on, but
I guess you're frustrated at the same time.
I was slightly frustrated. I've got to come up with we are logging in quite quickly because I was looking at this conscious at the time as well. But there's lots of fireworks going on in the house. There's lots going on. So of course it's a really exciting day for us today, isn't it?
Well, I was saying to Gary earlier, because every time he spoke, there was this massive explosion. I thought it was his system, but then he told me it was Diwali. So he's having a party down there as well in Reading, Birmingham. Diwali. Kima, what's your reaction to Rishi Sunak being will be appointed tomorrow by King Charles as a new prime minister? And I'm sure he doesn't have a what should I call a lethal touch that will affect the king, like they said Liz did with the Queen.
You know what? This is history in the making. How many times in the past we've heard they're saying, "Oh, that would never happen in United Kingdom." But I'm so excited today. We have an ethnic minority as our chancellor and leader of the Conservative Party. It's an exciting moment for us, and I think we should all take a moment to take it all in. This is history in the make, and it's huge, and we need to celebrate that. And I'm quite excited about that.
And I concur with you on as well. It is. But there's still the Bill of Views becomes the head cornerstone, and therefore,
Simon, when he said the but, you just destroy everything right there. You should have gone around and then come back in. The but just.
No, but it is.
You could tell they haven't taken a moment to take it in yet.
Yeah, we haven't taken
it. But it's expected. But he would. I mean, he's a man of color, and yes, I like to say the word Asian. He's an Asian man, ethnic minority, and yes, but let's go back to this policy. I'm trying to get away from the whole color scenario. Yes, he's a black person, a person who's Asian.
I like to specify Asian because Asians doesn't associate with black, but we always, as black people, we always bring in everybody into black.
Well, his parents were born. They were from East Africa. Of course, they've got Indian heritage. So it's fantastic. It's fantastic opportunity for us here in the United Kingdom to celebrate or the diversity, particularly of the Conservative Party. Quite recently we had Kwasi as our first chancellor as well. I know
Yes.
as a Conservative Party, we're hesitant to celebrate diversity as such because we believe strongly, of course, in promoting people based on merit. And you know what? I am proud to say all of the ethnic minorities, I know you're proud, isn't it, that we've put at the cabinet office, you could say hand on heart, they're qualified for the job. And so
But are they elected?
it's not like they got the job there because, they
Are
just
they
got
elected?
and
Are
because
they
If they're members of parliament, they're
Klima
elected.
is fully fledged. Simon Klima is fully fledged Conservative paid up member. So this is what you're going to be hearing now.
But have they been democratically elected by the electorate?
We do have a parliamentary process.
Well,
Simon,
this is where I was
we've been
saying because
we have never in history, maybe you could point out a time in history, but we have never selected or voted for the prime minister directly. We voted for our members of parliament.
I know the political system.
And not
Yes, the
only
government
that,
system.
in order for us to select our leader, which is a democratic process, if you're paid up member, you get to select the leader.
But you're paid up member. We're talking about the general public. We're not talking about partisan of the Conservative Party.
But that is the process. That is the process. If you want to be
so
part of the
process,
grassroots and you want to select the leader, of course,
that's the process. And
yes,
that's the process. But but that's the process. But in order to give confidence, now remember, because it's all about confidence in the system. Now would be to have that you've got this person who's been appointed rather than elected. This is the correct word. Appointed being by a group of committees.
Simon, stop right there. Even if Sunak went to the elections and won, the king would still appoint him as a prime minister.
I know, yes, but the manifesto has gone out. We've had a chance to hear their both manifestos, their political agendas, and I'm confident that the Conservative Party, if they want to put an election out, they would lose.
But that's not. But there's no need for
they would lose.
There's a parliament.
This is why
in parliament, which the Conservative Party, headed up by a previous Prime Minister, Boris Johnson, won and landslide. So we've got 5 years to deliver on our mandate.
The thing is that the Boris Johnson mandate has somewhat been is not the original mandate. So
but that's
what
the ignorance of a Boris Johnson mandate. It's not a Boris Johnson.
But
Boris Johnson, and said we vote for. We vote.
But isn't it fair to say that would be a good
of your party, and which happens to be Boris Johnson, and the party that is in the governing party is the Conservative Party, and we have a fixed parliament process of which we are entitled to.
But the more the layperson would be asking for wise people. I mean, the system, law needs to be changed. That could be a pressure point going forwards. But why is it that these people have changed? Because to the layperson, we have not voted. Okay,
So keep talking, Simon. The point I would say right there is that somehow people, I'm not going to say everybody, but I think maybe the people have not really understand the full remits of the parliamentary process.
And that's it. Like, it's not taught in school.
Yeah.
That's another story.
And I also believe that at this time now, that people should start to invite their children to start getting involved in politics, especially for the Black community. What we have seen is some names. Look at these names: Kemi, Kwasiteng, Suela Braverman, Sunak, Sam. We're seeing names which are not typical. You're gonna have Kima, Keisha, President Sidiel, Prime Minister Sidiel. You know what I mean? Listen, I think we've got to start used to these names, and we've got to start to encourage our people to get involved in the political process. I'm going to say this: if somebody on this show say they would like to get involved with the Labour Party, I'll say, touch base with me. I can guide you and direct you to some Labour people. If somebody say they want to get involved with the Conservative Party, I'll say, get in touch with me. I'll direct you to Kima, the deputy leader of the party. You know what I'm trying to say? And so I think at this time now, what should be celebrated is the fact that all these glass ceilings are just being smashed all over the place.
Do you know what? And that's the thing, Silborn. There you could begin to see, that people are putting themselves forward. Now, if we don't put ourselves forward, we won't be, breaking the glass ceilings, so to speak. And that's an opportunity. And I'm pleased to see there's quite a ray of visibility within the Conservative Party. They to say to come forward. Sorry.
I agree with you on that.
Sorry.
I agree with
Gary, Gary, what's the Labour Party? What do you think the Labour? I thought the Labour Party would have been. I'm not saying that you are the voice of the Labour Party, but we're just bringing that up. The Labour Party should have been the party that is giving us the woman prime minister, giving us the black prime minister, the Asian prime minister, and all these persons. What's going on there? What do you think?
You really want to know?
No big question.
Huh?
You really want to know from my point of view?
Yes, Gary. That's why you're here. You're not here for your pretty looks, Gary.
Don't worry.
Remember, you get a check. You get a check every week, for coming on the show.
All right.
Where's my check?
Virtual, guys. Come on, virtual. We're still on the virtual world. Yeah.
Listen, the Labour Party, I don't trust the Labour Party. The Labour Party just wants the black man's vote when it's time for it. After that, they don't consider the black man at all. That's my point of view. That's my point of view. I'm not saying that.
You know what?
Huh?
No, I was saying, Gary, you do have a point there. And this is something I observed myself. And I think one of the reasons being in the Labour Party, there's a lot of safe seats, particularly in London, that are deemed to be Labour safe seats, which a lot of the black MPs are, those constituencies are where the black MPs are. What I think we need to do is begin to have a surge of people willing to challenge the status quo. A lot more black and ethnic minorities people in those constituencies need to rise up. And even if they don't win in those constituencies, begin to actually challenge some of the things, some of the policies that are being put forward. And I think that's one of the problems where you say, I'm agreeing with what you're saying there. That's one of the problems that we have is that, after the Labour Party get into government or get into win those constituencies, you haven't heard absolutely nothing from them with regards to any issues related particularly to black and ethnic minorities. So I completely agree with you.
So therefore, what you're saying is that people need to show up.
Yeah, people need to show up. One.
I mean, it's about it still. Keisha and is it Kamina?
Kima, yes.
Kima, yeah.
Kima. Now, that will take years to do. I mean, I understand what you're saying, Kima, but that would take a long time. You know why? Because it's already entrenched in our minds that if you're black, you're Labour. Anybody that goes out there dealing with any other party, then they don't want to know. They don't want to know. It's like, for instance, some years back, and as Silborn will know, I was in Wolverhampton at the time. I'm not in the West Midlands anymore, but I was in Wolverhampton at the time, and I ran for the Conservative councillor in Wolverhampton, and I went around to a lot of I knew quite a bit of black people, quite a amount of black people there. Right? They knew who I was. And they commended me. That's the funny thing about it was they commended me, right? And they encouraged me for me doing what I was doing, getting involved. But you know what? They said you're running for the wrong party.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I have to support that, Gary, because I can only speak for the fact that I've been supporting my sister Kima for many years since she's been part of the Conservative Party. And I've seen how she grown in politics, her knowledge and and so on. But I've also witnessed the time that she's been, bullied online, just because of affiliation, and people saying a whole lot of negative things about her, because of her stance. And this is, my sister is a very, very educated person. She studied international relations and politics. She knows why she supports the type of policies that she
Mm.
does. So I think a lot of time, especially within the
Someone,
black
is
community,
someone phone ringing?
yeah,
Mm.
within the black community, she's
Yeah,
been, sidelined in the sense, been told, what she's saying is ignorance and all that kind of thing, simply
mm.
because she support the Conservative Party. And I think
Yeah,
this has to now change. And I'm so grateful for Silburn for listing all of these ethnic minorities who are, breaking boundaries, who are pushing, going beyond the ceilings, who are sitting at the table at the conservative, the conservative table, and trying and making a difference, so that people are out there could actually see, especially black people can actually see. You don't have to be, you don't have to assume that you're labeled because you're black. You can actually have a diverse voice. And that's why
yeah,
I said to Stillborn, I wouldn't define myself as a conservative, and neither would I define myself as a labor, labor person, or affiliated with labor, or any other party for that matter. Every time when near a general election, I ask for the manifesto. I look at it. I determine, what policies actually best suit me and my family, and I make a judgment on based on that. That's how I actually approach politics. Clearly, we're in our times, and this has been going on, for years historically. People choose a side, or they choose what political affiliation they wish to be part of, and
yeah,
that is fine. But I do think that we now, as a black community, should be appreciating diverse voices.
yeah,
What aspect they, individual choose to be part of. They should respect rather than try to,
yeah,
bully them into
yeah.
supporting the Labour Party just because of the color of your skin. Not
I
acceptable.
yeah. I think, and ladies and gentlemen, if you hear a banging sound, is Diwali being celebrated with some fireworks there. I think, and I've always stand firm on my ground, and I know that even within the black community, I'm rejected, being to the fact of my conservative leaning. But matter to me because I come from Ochi, from Jamaica. I'm always said I'm a Ochi man. I'm in a business really, because I think in a way, it's unfortunate though that our diversity of thinking and mindset is not celebrated by our own. Our own will more tear us down because of the fact that we don't think like them, and I consider that as controlling. And what we're seeing within the Conservative Party is that you're seeing persons breaking through, and then people always say they don't relate to black people that much. But one of the reasons why is because they get teared down more by black people. I'm
Yeah.
sorry, that's one of the reality. Those in the concert, they get teared down a lot by a black person because they're not supposed to be there. And you've got to have a strong and thick skin,
Hmm.
and have a sense of identity of who you are. And I always encourage people that you need to know who you are, because when you step out there, you don't want to be who people
Yeah.
want you to be. Because when they're not around, you're going to be relying on persons who would
Hmm.
want you to be something else, and they are not there for you. So therefore, you've got to stand your ground, and that is why I'm encouraging. I spoke to a couple of mothers today, and one of them said, "Oh, I'm going to vote conservative." I said, "Listen, and make sure your children." No, no, she's going to vote Labour, and make sure your children get involved in politics. I said to another sister, make sure your children get involved in politics because they're not going to go back to the Caribbean. It's highly unlikely they're going to go to Africa, and they're going to find themselves still in this country. And if they don't make a difference and start to step into the political fraternity and into that domain, you're going to still see the Etons and those guys who believe that they own it and they control it. But you see that it's all mashing up now, whereby it is not just the Etonites persons who have always been told you are from the lineage of greatness. You are from the school whereby you got prime ministers, presidents, leaders, bankers. That's all mashing up. But the only way it can mash up, and when I say mash up, it's not that you're mashing it up, is that people need to get involved and start to own parliament, start to own these political places, like how you got a Kemi who stand up there and she just stand her ground. Like you got Quasitang, okay, you might not like him or whatever, but he stand his ground. You got James Cleverly, he stand his ground. You got these guys rising up with a level of confidence. And I say to the young black persons all the while, you need to look up to these guys and start to step into the zone, because what they're doing, they're just mashing up the ceilings, making it easier for us. Sorry, Keisha, Kima, I had muted because I hear the banging sound there. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah,
I no, I'm just saying that's spot on. There's the it starts from a very young age. My daughter is 11, and she comes over and she talks to me about politics. She talks to me
yeah,
about why people are backing Boris, and who she's going to vote for, and who she shouldn't. Doesn't think I should be voting for, that sort of thing.
mm,
But it starts from that very young age, and it's about encouraging our young people, but to have a mind of their own. And the way I see it is, if you could justify why you make a decision, you come to your stance, then that's for you. That's your conviction, and you can
yeah,
stand on your conviction, and you should be able to stand on your conviction. The last thing you want to do is to be able is just following the line, follow the line because everybody is doing that. You know what I mean? You're not thinking outside the box. You're not thinking for yourself. You're not being creative, and you cannot be comfortable in your own skin if you're just following the status quo. You're just following
yeah,
what other people are doing. And so I think, your point there very much so is correct, in that, we've got to begin to encourage people from a very, very young age, or people from a young age, because they're the ones who are going to carry on our legacy. They're the ones who's going to be helping to break those barriers. And those barriers is not going to happen overnight. As you can see, the
yeah,
Conservative Party in itself, the leadership of the Conservative Party has taken a long, long time before it begins to look a little bit more closer to what the United Kingdom, people of the United Kingdom look like, rather than all white and stale men at the top of the party. Now you're beginning to see color, you're beginning to see diverse. It's not just in terms of background and ethnicity, it's about thinking as well. For example, look at Richie and the furlough scheme, for example.
mm,
I thought that was in the time of need, a very creative and innovative way of managing the economy and helping people, particularly our businesses, in a time when we desperately needed it. He saved a lot of small businesses. And you know what? We easily forget some of these things, but it takes people who could think outside of the box to be able to come up with some of those creative ideas.
mm. Um, Kima, Keisha? Sorry, Keisha, you guys always play game with me all the while. Keisha, what's your last word, anyhow, in regards to everything?
Well, my last word is that I just want to celebrate and congratulate Richie for getting this far. As tomorrow, actually, tomorrow he will be crowned, Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, and it's really
Mm,
refreshing to see, somebody who I have full confidence in, simply because, he steer us through, the one of the most difficult times in the history of Britain, which is being locked down for such a very long time. We spoke at length about that experience on the show, and I think we now come full circle to see him rising to the very top, and hopefully, just like how he brought us out of the COVID crisis, I have confidence that he will actually deliver and actually bring us out of this this economic crisis that we're in right now. And I'm hoping and I'm trusting that everybody actually come together, congratulate him, and rally around him, because we do
mm.
need to make a change in this country. There are a lot of people who are struggling and really need help. So let's get behind the prime minister, and at a later date we can look at another election. But we just need him to actually deliver for this people, for the this community that we're in.
Yeah, no, that's true. I was looking a while ago because I try to. My children have doing politics for a long time, and there they are at such an age. That was a parliamentary candidate for Lewisham East, and we're all campaigning. And I've got pictures of them putting flyers indoors, and I have to watch them because the dogs will bite them,
Yeah.
their hands. But what I was doing was just priming them to the whole thing. And my daughter, she knows about Boris, and I said, when I came in, I said, who is the prime minister? And they knew it was Rishi was a person. And I think that is so important, because I believe sometimes we unfortunately we turn our children away from the system, because the system is not for us, because it's racism and all those sort of things. But I say, just like what Johnny Barnes said all the while, Johnny Barnes said, in order to get rid of racism out of football, you got to get out of racism out of the community, out of society. Then the question is, how do you change society? Is by people getting into areas of influence to sort of lobby and to have that influence within their sphere of influence. And that means to say we all have to play a part in the whole process. That's my thinking. And that's why I'm always standing my ground. And when people say, why are you conservative? I say, because I choose to be. And I said, that's it. I choose to be because I don't believe that I need to explain my life choices to anyone unless their name is on my birth certificate.
Can I say something, Silbon?
Yeah.
All right, just one more. I should have been one more before, but this is one more. Okay, so I just want to appreciate you and Kima. I'm really wishing you guys the best. I'm hoping you guys get out there and get more involved in politics, becoming a member for
Oh, we're running in 2024. We're running in
Yes,
2024.
2024.
I didn't want to make any public announcement. Yeah, I don't know where you guys are. I'm just trying to say.
We're just declaring it.
Okay. So I'm just saying that I'm very supportive. I've been supportive of you for many, many years. I've been to quite a lot of events. I've seen, I think, all the prime ministers, thanks to all the invites I've gotten from you and Keemer and, Phil and Keemer. And thank you so much because I can actually brag about the fact that I've met, Boris, Theresa May, the whole lot, all of them, David Cameron. Thanks because you guys invited me to quite a few invites and I've met all of them. So I'm grateful. So I'm just plugging when you guys get us your invite to see Rishi, just add me as a plus one. I'll be grateful. Thank you.
And Gary,
I have nothing to say really. No, I wish you all the best. I wish you all the best. I mean, I have always been a diehard conservative, really, and
Okay.
and I think, and I really believe that West Indians, I think West Indians, and because I'm of Jamaican heritage, also myself,
mm,
um, we are conservative minded anyway. I don't know where we get the notion that we are laborites or labor here. You know,
yeah,
it's only because when our foreparents came to this country, they came to this country when it was Mr. Harold Wilson, most of them.
mm,
Even though the whole setup of politics was a little different than it is now. It was a little different. But
mm,
but but if they really knew, if they listened to some of these documentaries, if you remember, we discussed it a few months back, Silborn, when
mm,
we made the point that when the boat, right, that wonderful named boat of Windrush was coming here to the United Kingdom, that Winston Churchill himself tried his best to turn it around or to send it
and
to
send them
Africa to pick peanuts. And
peanuts.
we
Yes, yes.
and we, right, we fail. It's either we fail to hear or we fail to understand, right? That the government of the day, of that day, did not want any of our parents here.
Mm,
And we've got to understand, we have to understand, folks, right? I'm not racist, I'm not
mm,
prejudiced. I've got a lot, just like yourselves, I'm sure. Back in Jamaica, when we went to school and there were white Jamaicans there, we never say whitey and all of that. They were more Jamaican than us.
yes, 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 yes,
When you hear them talk, them chat the baddest patois more better than us. Yeah. But
yes.
the thing about it is that what we've got to understand is that the people here, all right, we've got in order for us to make the best use of the situation here, is that we've got to know the facts, even if it hurts us, even if it damages us to some extent. We've got to know the enemy. We've got to know their schemes.
Mm,
We've got to know their plans. We've got to know how they think if we're going to overcome everything that's going on here. And I believe, my friends, that that is what we as black people have not done very well.
Okay, somebody just
That's an
asked a
interesting
question.
question.
Yeah.
Keisha, go first.
The Asians have come in, Silbert, yeah?
Yes.
The Asians have come here, all right, and have done extremely well.
Yes.
Because even if they have a problem amongst themselves, right, when they put their heads together to do something, they do it. But the moment somebody like you, Silborn, and it's happened more than once, the moment that you, Silborn, want to do something in business or do something in politics or do something in whatever, I then, we're like crabs. I'm pulling you down. You mustn't get up there, Silborn. I'm not supporting you because you're this and you're that. That's not what we should be doing at all. We should be well ahead of the game.
Yes.
Way ahead of the game. So
You're right about that. Nero, someone just asked this question: how does the Conservative Party benefit the black? Kima, you want to answer that?
Well, that's an interesting question. You know, it's funny because a lot of people ask that question. They ask how does the Labour Party benefit?
They never ask that question.
They
Actually,
never ask that, but they always kind of challenge it. What have you done for us? Well, let me tell you something. And the way I look at it, I flip that question because on the other side, if you think about it, and I'll take it from a very personal point of view as well. Obviously, I'm an immigrant, overseas territory from Montserrat. I came here. When I came here, and for me, it was, I came here, but it was a very difficult time because of, obviously, some of you know about the volcano. It was a Labour MP. It was a Labour MP who told Montserratians that we wanted golden elephants, right? So that kind of stuck with me, and it's always been stuck with me in my mind. But from a grand and detailed more situation for me, if you look at some key policies for me that is very important, that I think has done more detriment to the Black community, for me it came more from a Labour Party than the Conservative Party. And the first one, if you look at tuition fees, for example, tuition fees was introduced by the Conservative Party. I was going to university and I had to pay my way. Sorry?
The Labour Party.
Yes, the Labour Party, yes. That was introduced by the Labour Party. And that obviously meant I left university with debt. When I left university, I found it very, very difficult to find a job. I had to do an intern and work for free, but part-time, obviously. So I found it very, very difficult as well. And also there are many other things. I went to work for the NHS. Once I was at the NHS, the Labour Party at the time brought in what we call PPI. And a lot of people tend to completely forget about that, which is the private introduction to the privatization in the NHS at the time. So again, that directly impacted me. And when I talk to a lot of Conservative, the Labour Party, they like to tell us that the Conservatives are the ones who wants to bring in privatization, but they were the ones who introduced it. Now, obviously, again, stop and search. That to me, that is a policy that was introduced by Labour Party. Again, when you think about that, I mean, we complain a lot about how, there's racism in the police force and there's racism everywhere and all of that. But the fact remains is that policy was introduced by the Labour Party as well. And, but for some reason, the Conservative Party gets stuck with it. So for me, there's a lot of different individual policies, I think, that for me has done more harm to the Black community than initially planned. I know, of course, a lot of people think the Labour Party has good intentions, even right down to the immigration rules for the Windrush, all of that. There's elements of that you could always sort of pin blame on the Labour Party if you wanted to. But at the end of the day, for me, it's about looking at the policies I think that works for you as an individual and how it works for you as an individual, and see where you sort of benefit from there. I personally, as a Conservative supporter for a very long time, I think I benefit better from under the Conservative government. Of course, it believes in more of a small government, more into investing, and people having more money in people's pockets for that to be able to spend and invest as so they wish. And so that's, for me, works better.
How does the Conservative Party benefit the Black community? You answer that question.
That's what Kima just answered.
You did answer that question, eh? Did you make us? I know you.
Oh, it was for me or Kima?
No, it's Kima. I was putting it back to.
Oh, I think she answered it.
She answered it. Okay, in a roundabout way. Okay,
In a
very
roundabout.
political. Yeah, Keisha. No, sorry, Kima. Keisha? What would you say about how does the Conservative Party benefit the Black community? And Keisha and Kima, there's a
I
point
don't
that
think
you
I'm
didn't
in the
mention, which
position.
I'll come up with. Yeah,
Yeah,
sorry.
I think Kima gave quite a few examples of how she feels
Mm,
the Conservative Party benefit the Black community. For me, as I said earlier, and I keep having to repeat myself simply because people assume that I'm conservative because my sister is conservative. I
Yeah.
am not a conservative. As I said, before, I feel I look at things practically, which means that I wait for the near general election. I said, "Where's your manifesto, Labour Party? Where's your manifesto, Conservative Party? Let me have a look at what you can offer me." I remember at one time I have a young child. The child, I wanted my child to go to a Catholic school. At the time, I remember the Labour Party brought out the manifesto. They were actually they were changing or reforming the educational system to actually prevent or to actually and Kim correct me to explain this better. They actually wanted to I think maybe reduce or to stop private, not private, religious schools to actually continue. So that was actually in their manifesto. I remember reading it clearly. And for that basis, I'm given that I'm a Christian and I'd like my child to go to a Christian school. That actually hit me. And I said, no, I couldn't vote for the Labour Party at that time because that was fundamental to me. So that's
mm,
how I actually made a decision that I can't vote as support a Labour Party. I can't vote for them because I need my child to go to a Catholic school. And you can't tell me that if you were to win the election, one of the issues that you were going to do is to actually stop that kind of school from actually happening. So that's the practical view I take. And that's just my approach.
yeah,
And I think everybody else have a different way of why they choose to vote
yeah,
for. But for me, I wait for the manifesto and I make my determination
yeah.
then.
If I'm to answer how does the Conservative Party benefit the Black community, I'm going to say that the Black community need to somewhat support each other from all different political party sphere. Mean to say, get involved with the Conservative Party, get involved with the Labour Party, get involved with the Lib Dem, get involved with the Scottish. All I'm trying to say is that I'm not going to go directly into specifics, but I think a lot of the onus is upon us. And one of the things that the Conservative tend to do a lot is not to really get involved or focus a lot on race
No.
at the same time, but on individuals and how individuals can better themselves. And I think that is something which is crucial, notwithstanding the fact that persons sometimes need support and need help. And that's why furlough came in. That's why people were saying it's so funny. I tell you how interesting our life is. The Conservative Party brought in the furlough thing, and people were saying they're operating like a socialist government at the time, when at the same time they were trying to help. And it just like when Liz just rolled back the Quasitang bill and those 50p, is it 40p or 50p, the tax thing there? Uh,
45p.
and people started to cuss the Conservative and say, come on, guys, you roll back. And I said, what you wanted them to roll back? You know what I'm trying to say? So I think all I'm trying to say, based on what I'm seeing now, is that people have to really somehow start to get involved with the political process with your community and do what you can do. I am a conservative, and yet at the same time, I engage with all different type of persons. Most persons say I'm the only nice conservative they know for whatever reason, because I'm used to my roots and I love my reggae music, and that's just me. And
Well,
I think that is very important. Gary, what do you say, Gary, before we wrap up? Because it's
Well,
before we do the benediction, Reverend.
no, no. I mean, I don't have anything else more to add. I
Yeah,
mean, I think you said it, and Kima as
yeah.
and others have said. So that's fine. That's all right with me.
So we wish Rishi Sunak
mhm.
all the best with his ventures, and to be the next prime minister. I was trying to find a video when he gave his speech to close off, and I'm gonna see if I can actually play it, because I think it was very good, even though he looked a bit stiff and maybe nervous. But again, he's a new kid on the block. So what can I say? That's Keisha coming back in. I'm gonna see if I can play the video. Let me know if you can hear it. If you can't hear it, then I won't bother to play it. Rishi Sunak. Where is it? Rishi Sunak's speech. Can you see anything? Can you see anything? Can you see
Yeah.
anything, guys? Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
I can't hear anything.
You can't hear anything. You know why I can't hear anything? Because there's no volume. Okay.
Through a time.
Okay, I'm gonna see if I can play it.
I'd like to pay tribute to Liz Truss for her dedicated public service to the country. She has led with dignity and grace through a time of great change and under exceptionally difficult circumstances, both at home and abroad. I am humbled and honoured to have the support of my parliamentary colleagues and to be elected as leader of the Conservative and Unionist Party. It is the greatest privilege of my life to be able to serve the party I love. I owe. The United Kingdom is a great country, but there is no doubt we face a profound economic challenge. We now need stability and unity, and I will make it my utmost priority to bring our party and our country together, because that is the only way we will overcome the challenges we face and build a better, more prosperous future for our children and our grandchildren. I pledge that I will serve you with integrity and humility, and I will work day in, day out for the British people.
Okay. Okay. So, what do you think about this? What do you think about this speech?
I thought quickly. I thought when I saw him do that, I said that he looked very plastic. He did he did not look. He didn't look as if he was free. I understand he may have been reading something
Yeah, I
of,
think I was reading something. Yeah.
but he should have come across more human, you know. But I know it was a difficult time for him because it was all probably happening so quickly,
Yeah.
and they needed to put something up for him to read it. But he
I
looked
mean,
too plastic.
look at it this way. I was thinking about it this way, Kima. A month and a half ago, he was in an election and he lost, right, for the prime ministership, and then all of a sudden, it was handed to you on a platter. Think about that for a second. And I started to think about some motivational bits, and I said, somebody said, "What is fear is always fear." There's a Jamaican saying, and I also voted for Rishi. I'm not going to tell a lie. I voted for
I
Rishi.
didn't vote for Richie, but yeah, go on.
Yeah, I voted for Rishi, and I was saying, but I always get this thing right. I voted Brexit because I knew, and I said, I always get these things right. I don't know what went wrong, God, you know. And then all of a sudden, the whole thing just changed. So any encouragement to anybody, any encouragement to anybody out there, if you believe in something and you got a vision, and even though it looks like it's gone down the drain and it's gone, you still believe if you believe that is yours.
For
Because
me,
somehow, yeah,
Silver, for me, what I thought was most incredible is how he handled the defeat the
yes,
first time round. He just slipped quietly. He didn't oppose anything that Liz Truss was doing. He didn't come out
yes,
and say, "I told you so."
yes, that was correct again.
Do you know what I mean? The way that he handled, I think that is something to be admired because, of course, and you can see that is almost like it's almost like a leader in waiting, if you want to put it that way. It's almost like he knew it was going to happen, but obviously it was it was for the right time for it to
Yeah,
happen. So that's for me was
yeah.
admirable.
You're right about that because we did not hear one peep from him, even when Liz was making all those mistakes, all those things that he said. Because I was listening to some of his speech and he said, you can't do that because, and I remember he clearly said, interest rates is going to go up and mortgages and all those sort of things is going to go up and people are going to, and I said, wow. He
Wow.
was saying the same things all that time and he
But
never
you
said
know
one
what?
peep about it. Yeah.
But you know what, Silborn and Kima, what I noticed about Rishi, and what I noticed, I don't know. Well, I'm sure you saw it and you were watching when Liz Truss won the nomination.
Yeah.
Yes, she was sitting just one seat apart,
Hmm.
And when her name was called, she never even looked at Rishi. She
That's
never.
true.
She
You would
did.
have think the gracious thing to do was
Just
because
go
it
and
was
shake
sat so
hands.
close, is to shake the hand first, and then. But I observed that as well. I saw that. I thought, that it would have
Mm.
been nice for her to at least go over and say
Yes.
congratulations or
Yeah.
something of
Yeah.
that
She's
nature.
arrogant. I really think
Mm,
she's arrogant, and she
yeah,
came
yeah,
across arrogant, and she
Yeah.
didn't know how to. Because even when you look at her in the parliament in parliament there, when she was at the dispatch box and Kwame was there and such, even her demeanor, I mean, she didn't
Mm.
smile, she didn't,
mm,
her face was just as if it was flint. I
Mm.
mean, I think the whole process, to tell you the truth, I think the whole process of government at that level was too much for her. I just
yeah.
think it was too much for her.
And I think that's a lesson in leadership in itself. You've got to bring people with you, and I think ultimately that didn't happen. So she lost her own party, she lost her own cabinet, she lost the country. If you're not going to bring people with you, you need to be able to communicate your own policies and believe in them. If you know what I mean. So it was that. I mean, I think I want to correct something. I've got PPI. I think I must have said PPI. Somebody's asking what is that. It meant to be PFI, but yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. All
Yeah.
right, guys. Well, listen, I want to thank you so much for joining up. I think we'll see more. At least King Charles is going to make an appointment now. At least he's got some
Yeah.
job now. He hasn't done much since, is he? Ernest keep, you know. Well, guys, listen,
Somebody's
Kima,
got
it's great seeing you and Keisha. You see, Gary, they always confuse me all the while. I don't know who's who sometimes. If it wasn't for the names, you know, which is
somebody,
there.
Silbo, and somebody made a comment over there. Another wealthy, deluded.
Oh yeah, yeah. Oh yes, I put it up there. Another wealthy, deluded, egotistical, lying, out of touch clown. They're all the same. I mean, he's referring to Rishi, of course.
And I suppose they've got the same, they've got the same lot in Labour Party as well. As they say, we all, we
Yeah,
all
yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah, everybody. But before you go, what about his wealth? Do you think the wealth? Many people are saying he's out of touch because of his wealth.
I think Keisha should answer that question. You're mute, Keisha.
Oh, she's muted. No, she's not muted. Oh, she muted herself. I think something
Unmute
wrong.
yourself, Keisha. Or you got something. But I think, no, he comes from humble beginnings, and he worked his say help, working way up, and his wealth should have absolutely nothing
Uh,
to do with that. It shouldn't impact on whether his ability to run the country or not. And he might be the wealthiest MP, but he's not the
mm,
first wealthy MP to be prime minister, or so I don't think we should focus too much on that.
yeah. Well, let's give him some time, and I trust and I hope that all the parliamentarians within the conservative will just rally behind, because the country really needs this level of stability, and
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
something I've always said from COVID finish, and is that, and with the bit going on in Russia, if everybody, Labour, Conservative, SNP, Northern Ireland, Wales, whatever, all come together and say, what can we do and collectively together to fix this country and to sort out this world's cost of living? If they all put their head together, I'm sure something can work. But all they're talking about is power. Right now, Labour is just wanting power, and everybody wanting power. That's what is happening. And let's hope that the Conservative can put that aside now and rally behind Rishi, and hope that Labour will just jump off the high horse of wanting an election, because that's going to be a stabilizing factor, and the market is looking for a stabilizing factor. But I said before, and I said it again, the market should be the prime minister, and the media should be the deputy prime minister. Because everybody was saying, "What is the market saying? What's the market saying?
It's
What's the
so true,
market
isn't
saying?
it? It's
What's
the
the market
market
saying?
and the media
What's the
running the
market saying?"
country, isn't
Yeah,
it?
everybody, what's the market saying? I was listening to Peter Auburn the other day. I've got a video of Peter Auburn, journalist, and he was saying that the media and the politicians and politics all entwine into one, whereby the media at one time used to hold politicians accountable, but they're all entwined
Yeah.
one, which is also something which is happening with Sleepy Joe in America. There's no accountability in a sense. And Gary and I have been talking about that. The need for strong leaders. And the show I did tonight was, is the world ready for a new generation of leaders? Because we can't go back to the Margaret Thatcher, the Reagan, the Gorbachev. Those guys are gone because we're in this filtered community now, filtered leaders where people are now not being real because they're all Instagram savvy, and that's the thing. So everybody's filtered. Yeah, everybody's trying to make sure that they say the right thing, do the right thing. Nobody's wanting to just be Watson all and to be the potent leader. So Kima, you'll have to do that. And Gary, I know you're the man with that already. And myself, we've got to be ourselves and say it as it is.
All right.
All right. Peace out.
All right. Blessings, man. Take care.
Yeah. Have a good night, guys. Take care,
Bye.
Keisha and Kima. Peace out. Take care. Bye bye. Okay, Gary, we talk, all right? Have a good night. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining tonight. And we just had a very good round of discussion, so which is Rishi Sunak or by the King, with the command, the majority of parliamentarians in the House of Commons. And we wish him the best and we support him. And let's hope for some level of stability in the UK now, and that people can actually move on. And let's not talk about an election. Let's see if we can just work together at this time. All right. Peace out. Have a good day. Remember to like and subscribe. And those on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. Peace out. Bye bye.